Hi guys, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and I'm here to give you the no disclaimers book tag. I was tagged by Jade from Jaded Reader, and I love this tag because I just get to be honest all the way through, so that's going to be a lot of fun. As I've been doing with my recent tag videos, I've been showing off a mug at the beginning of every video, and for this one I have borrowed my dad's R2-D2 mug. He is a huge Star Wars fan, and I just always see this mug in the cupboard and I think it's absolutely fantastic. And as well as that, on the inside, oh wait, hang on, I'll show you like that, it says something, and it says, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope," which I just think is really cute as you like drink your tea or your coffee. And I like Star Wars a lot as well, not as much as my dad because he's the biggest Star Wars buff, but I do enjoy all of the movies and some of the like new series as well. So let's get right on down to the questions. The first question is, which trope or tropes in books annoy you the most? Cheating in books. I don't like cheating in real life, so of course I don't actually really enjoy reading about it. I do think it's important to read about things that you don't enjoy in books. However, cheating, I just really don't enjoy it whatsoever. I'd rather no books had cheating representation in them, if I'm being honest, and I just really don't enjoy reading about characters cheating on each other for whatever reason. And I think love triangles sometimes really do lend towards that, which is why I feel mixed about love triangles. Then, which writer or writers do you think are overhyped? Guys, get ready. So the first one I have to mention is Sarah J. Maas. I've read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I've also read the sequel, which was more hyped than the first book, and I just think her writing overall is mediocre, and for her new adult sections, like the explicit scenes, they're definitely overhyped. Like, if you read good new adult romance, you will know that those scenes are just definitely overhyped. I think she does do characters really well, but plot is very weak. I think she could work a bit more on her plot. So I do think generally she's a bit overhyped. As well as that, I also think J.K. Rowling is overhyped. I'm sorry. I think her world building, which is what she's most hyped for, is fantastic, and in that sense she's not overhyped. But as for her characters and her writing, and yeah, the characters and the writing and the actual pacing of the books, that could be improved. And another writer that I think is overhyped is John Green. I have read Looking for Alaska and I've read The Fault in Our Stars, and I just didn't really like them. I feel like his characters don't really fit their age, which is a common complaint about his books if you don't like them. I also think that his pacing is terribly off. I found Looking for Alaska to be very predictable, as well as The Fault in Our Stars. I also found that to be predictable, so I couldn't enjoy them for that reason. If I don't like the characters, if I find the plot is predictable and the pacing is off, then I just don't enjoy it. So I think he's a bit overhyped. What are the least favourite books you've read since starting BookTube? I don't really read that many awful 1-star rating books, and if I do, they're usually classics and not ones that I've read because of BookTube. However, one that was hyped on the book online world that I read for that reason was Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James, and I absolutely hated this book and don't understand why it has so much hype. I just thought it was awful in so many ways, and I don't really want to get into it because I'm trying to kind of cleanse my mind from this book. That's how much I disliked it. But it has sexism, it has some really weird sexual things, it's really written in a crazy abstract kind of way, nothing makes sense, and I just could really not enjoy this book. I don't think I can even push myself to try a different Marlon James book. That's how much I disliked it. Usually I'm all for giving authors a second chance, but that was just a mess. Then, what was a terrible ending to what would have otherwise been a very quality book? I'm changing this a little bit and saying what was a terrible ending to a series that otherwise would have been a quality series, and that is A City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. I read the Mortal Instruments series and I really liked it, and this one is a huge brick, but I found this to be probably one of the most disappointing books in the series. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I would like to explain why, for two reasons. First of all, my favourite character had a terrible ending to their storyline, which was a bit disappointing because that's the storyline I wanted to see done the most, as well as the fact that when I read this series, the main characters kind of became my least favourite characters and my favourite characters became the side characters. And then she does something that I really dislike seeing in series, which is when an author is trying to bridge into another series. So she's written this one and she's got one that continues on after it, which is called the Dark Artifices series. However, this is the conclusion to the Mortal Instruments series. I don't really care about you spending time introducing these new characters to your next series in this book, because that's not why I came to this series, and I'm trying to find the ending to their book. I really don't care about you doing a spin-off. Don't start introducing them yet. However, a lot of these pages were dedicated to these new characters to jumpstart their storyline, and I just think that's kind of a bit annoying and a bit frustrating for readers who are there for one series. Focus on finishing that series before you start starting another one. I know it's great cross-promotion, but really I didn't care, and it really bothered me having to trawl through those chapters to get to these ones. Which fictional character or characters do you wish weren't killed off? Again, I feel like this one is a bit spoilery. I won't spoil anything, but if you've read... oh, wrong way. If you've read The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness, you know who I'm talking about. Also, if you've read the sequel, there's someone who dies in that book who I also didn't want to die, but I can't really pinpoint you to that without saying anything, so maybe you can guess in the comment section down below. What are some of your bookish pet peeves? Now, there's a lot of pet peeves that people have that I've just stopped caring about. For starters, like, people get really unhappy when their book series don't match, when they're all different sizes, when they have different covers. I honestly don't care. People get annoyed when people talk to them while they're reading. I don't care. I like to be a social reader, so I'm very good at switching between things. I will read a book in a social situation. You can start having a conversation with me. I'll have a conversation with you, read a line, have a conversation, read a line. I don't care. So I don't have that many bookish pet peeves. Most people, when I lend them a book, they always give it back, which is great. I guess I'm just going to say this. Nobody's done this, but it would bother me if they lent my book and then they folded the, like, dog-eared the pages and then gave it back to me with them undog-eared, because why you gotta dog-ear my book? Like, I'm all for people dog-earing their own books, but I don't dog-ear my book, so if someone did it to my book and then gave it back to me, I'd be like... But actually I don't care, and I also buy a lot of books secondhand, and if the previous owners dog-eared the pages, I don't care when that happens, so... don't really have that many bookish pet peeves. What are some books that you think deserve more recognition? And I could just make a whole video on this because there are so many underrated authors and poets out there. I'm just going to limit myself to 3, and one of them encompasses like everyone. So the first one I'm going to say is poets that aren't Rupi Kaur or aren't Insta poets. There is so much modern poetry out there that is not Insta poetry, that is absolutely wonderful, that people aren't reading, and I just wish more people read poetry because it is amazing and there is just so much for you. You can go the classic route, you can go the modern route. There's so much good poetry out there. Please go and read some. Then I'm going to spotlight 2 indie authors or small press published authors, because I know a lot of people write off those books very quickly or just don't know about them, but there are some great authors out there who are doing wonderful things. First of all, I've got Underneath It All by Patricia Vaness. This one is like a contemporary kind of read, but it really deals with some very heavy and dark topics and social situations. This one follows London, who is this guy who gets accepted into this very prestigious school because he won a competition with his writing, and he really tries his hardest to fit in with these prestigious people, and luckily he gets drawn into the golden group, the most popular clique group. However, the best friend that he has in that group, he started to fall for his girlfriend. You know, cheating is one of the tropes that I don't like, but this one doesn't really do that, and it's amazing. It deals with depression as well, and suicidal thoughts and suicide, and a lot of things to do with coming of age, but also just with life, and it is absolutely brilliant. And then I'm also going to shout out The V-Girl by Maya Roberts, which I've already talked about on my channel. It deals with a lot of themes of coming of age. It's a dystopia, and as well as that, it really discusses sexual assault and sex in a lot of explicitness, so do be prepared for that, but it really handles these themes and topics in a way that is unparalleled to any other book that I've read. I've done a video where I rank some fantasy reads from best representation to worst representation. I'll leave a link to that up above, but Maya Roberts, she knew what she was doing when she wrote this book. And the last question is, what do you think about censorship and banning books? I really find this one hard now. Like, when I was gonna film this, when I just saw the questions, I thought, you know, no, of course, don't ban books, don't censor books. But Jade from Jaded Reader, when she did this tag, brought up a great point that she doesn't like to read books that throw hate on a certain group of people, like a book that's very, very sexist, explicitly so, or very hateful to a certain religion, or very hateful to a certain minority. She thinks those should be either censored or not really promoted, which I actually agree with, which is saying that you should ban or censor people from reading some books, which is actually a very, very obvious and very clear-cut thing, but it's what you forget when people ask you, should you ban or censor books? I'm still going to say no. Maybe those books should still be available, but I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to censor yourself from certain books. So I'm going to say generally don't ban or censor books, but if you know there's something that you don't want to read, censor yourself from it and like protect yourself. Kind of why there are trigger warnings in books, so you can protect yourself from those things. And yeah, guys, don't write hateful books because you don't want people to read them. And I don't want to read them. Okay, so that's all I have for this tag. I hope everything was clear cut and explained well. Please let me know in the comment section down below who is an author that you think is overhyped. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button to see more. And don't forget, hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.